Welcome back. I got a Blu-ray update for you. As far as news, there's so much stuff coming out so fast. Um, Friday the 13th box set from Scream Factory in October. That's going to be great. I've already pre-ordered that. Severin had some great titles that came out that their site crashed, and for a number of reasons I wasn't able to order anything. There's a couple of Franco films that are from the Severin sale that I still got to get my hands on. Universal box set number 6 is already coming out, so there's just a lot of good stuff coming out. Having said that, I did pick up some things recently. First up is 1984's Zombie Island Massacre. I'm trying to put this one out of my mind. This stars Rita Jenrette, who, other than her set of boobs, I mean, this film, that her boobs in the first 5 minutes in the shower scene is pretty much it. The rest of it is a bunch of walking around on an island, and the kills are just lame. I mean, it doesn't even, the kills aren't even a good payoff for this one. It's a brutal snooze fest. It's amazing what Vinegar Syndrome will pick up and polish up. This is a turd. I mean, I think this is just a turd. I did watch it. I watched the special features. There is a trying to remember, was there an audio commentary on this? No. This is actually pretty light on special features. Real light, actually. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, in the 80s, Rita Jenrette was kind of a one-hit wonder that I think went on to become a real estate agent. But yeah, there's a picture of her right there. Not good. 2 out of 10. Next up, let's see. Flesh-Eating Mothers. Another Vinegar Syndrome release that I didn't like the film. I think some of these films are really nostalgia. I mean, if you didn't see them when you were a kid in the 80s, it's just not going to probably resonate with you. At least it didn't resonate with me. This is 88, and this is a zom-com, and it's got its moments, but it's still pretty tedious, quite honestly. A lot of painful acting and an uninteresting plot. It does have an audio commentary track. I know there's some people that love this film, but I'm not one of them. 2 out of 10. Next up is one I did like, and that's 1990's Blood Games. I loved this. This was a surprisingly good slasher film that needs to get talked about more. It's basically a girls' softball team that starts getting picked off. Yeah, this one definitely, I liked it. Liked it a lot. 7 out of 10. It got an extra slipcover here that came with it. The girls in this were awesome. I was just pleasantly surprised. And then next up is this one I had high hopes for, but it just did not work out for me, and that is The Doll of Satan. I picked this up. This is, I want to say this is a Rewind release. Yeah, I mean, this is an Italian horror flick and a gothic Italian horror flick, but it's very, very tepid. It's an early giallo. The plot is very muddled. Characters appear and then disappear. It was not really good. And you've got this ghost subplot that is ludicrous. It's funny, it's hilarious, but it doesn't go anywhere. I mean, this is a tough one. I wanted to like this more than I did. I give it a 5 out of 10. This has an audio commentary track and a little booklet. Okay, next up is Hollywood Horror House. I don't know. This is an early '70s proto slasher. It looks cheesy, and but it's a serious psychological horror film that I thought was very good, pleasantly surprised, very good. Um, this of course Vinegar Syndrome does a great job with these releases. This has a let's see what we got here. There was a audio commentary track on it. It was good. But yeah, this was a low budget. This was also titled The Savage Intruder. I didn't realize that. Very good, surprisingly good. Next up is a Jess Franco film, and I've reviewed this as a separate review, Revenge in the House of Usher. And this is called Neurosis. This is the Kino release. I had a DVD of the Revenge in the House of Usher, which when I recorded my Franco review, I used that one. This is a muddled film, unfortunately, and I don't think it's Franco's fault necessarily. There's like multiple versions of this, multiple edits and re-edits, and I don't think the film has ever been presented as it was originally intended. But it's basically a Poe story with Franco's spin on it, and he's taken snippets. In this release, he took snippets from Awful Orloff to kind of pad it out, and it's done in terms of flashbacks. Lena May has a relatively minor role in it. But it's a decent take on the Usher story. I mean, it's just muddled, you know. There's an audio commentary with Tim Lucas on here, very good. So it's a good Kino release. Recommend it. Next up is the Universal Horror Collection 5. Yeah, this is Volume 5. Probably the weakest. Not probably. I think it is the weakest of all the releases so far. These films are just. And I grew up watching Universal and Hammer, but these never got on my radar, and I can see why. These are just some brutal watches. I mean, they're probably the weakest of the Universal collection that I can recall. I mean, all the films, Captive Wild Woman and Jungle Woman and all that stuff, they basically are crime plots, mad scientist crime plots, and you really don't get the Jungle Woman except for maybe 30 or 40 seconds right at the end. I mean, it's. I think the best one is probably the monster and the girl. I thought the gorilla makeup, the guy in the suit makeup, was outstanding, surprisingly good. There's an audio commentary for each release. These are very short films, 64 minutes on average, so you can just blow through them pretty quick. But not. I mean, I don't think there's a 6 out of 10 in this whole set. It was drudgery. Next up is a Fulci film. I don't know, I missed out on getting this, Beatrice Cenci. And this is based on a true story about a girl in the 1500s abused by her father, a wealthy father, and then she murders him. And of course it goes into, at the time, of course, you know, society and particularly religious circles favored really women were second-class citizens back then. I mean, and so she was tortured to confess to the murder. I mean, this is the film. I mean, you know, I don't know if it's obviously in the 1600s. It'd be hard to say what really happened, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting take on religious persecution, and it was a surprisingly intelligent film, intelligent dramatical material that Fulci took on. I liked it a lot. It's got an audio commentary track, which I've not listened to yet. I do intend to do that. Next up is a favorite of mine, Captain Kronos, Hammer film from the 70s. This is a fun film. fun, action-packed vampire flick. It's an interesting, unique take on the vampire mythos. Um, a lot of people, and myself included, um, Horst Jansen is the lead in this. He's very wooden. I think he works, but he's really not a very good actor. But I think it works for this one particular circumstance. And Carolyn Monroe is in this. She's beautiful as always. But yeah, it's a great Hammer film. And this Scream Factory release has an audio commentary. It also has a featurette. It's actually got 2 commentaries. So yeah, this is pretty much a loaded release. Next up, don't say anything. Don't give me a hard time. I went ahead and bought the Steelbook of Dances with Wolves, and I have a reason for it. Just be patient. The last movie, Dennis Hopper's film, I think that was an indicator release. I'd gone through all that and watched it, and that's a bizarre film, by the way. In the special features, he was being interviewed, and he talked about Dances with Wolves and what a masterpiece this was, and how he was pissed off with. He's pissed off with. I'm losing my mind here. He was pissed off with Kevin Costner, and I don't think he meant it. Obviously, he was being tongue in cheek, but he was pissed off that Kevin Costner could make such a masterpiece, a Western masterpiece. And I thought, I've never really watched this. And I grew up at the time when it came out. It was universally panned, so I was not particularly interested in it. But I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to check it out. It's a loaded release. Got a lot of special features. Haven't watched it yet. Next up, Rad, 1986 teen BMX bike movie. Of course, this release was just. People were trying to gobble this up, and I think now it's being sold on eBay for $80, $90, $100. It's out of print, and we knew it would. It's got the lenticular cover. It's not that good. I mean, this is another nostalgia thing. I mean, if you kind of grew up with this movie, you love it, but somehow this bypassed my radar growing up, and watching it now. I mean, it's a lighthearted comedy action film with a lot. Actually, it's got more of a love story than it is anything else. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not something that I'll go back to. In fact, I thought about just selling this now that I've seen it. I went through. It's a loaded release. It's got 3 audio commentaries and a bunch of behind-the-scenes making of featurettes. But yeah, I mean, if anybody wants to buy this from me, just PM me. Next up is a surprisingly good film, Bug. Really like this film. I love eco horror. And in the 70s there was a lot of this stuff, and this is a made-for-TV film that I thought was really, really good. It's got an audio commentary with Troy Howarth. He's doing a lot of audio commentaries, but yeah, Bug is a really good film, fun film. Next up, the collector's edition of the Blob remake. Love this film, and I think the Blob remake is far superior. In a way, I guess it's not fair to compare it to the Steve McQueen film of the 50s, because it's a different era. It's kind of like comparing The Thing from Another World with John Carpenter's The Thing. It's almost not real. It's almost apples and oranges, or comparing Muhammad Ali to Jack Johnson. I mean, but we all like to do those comparisons, and the reality is, this is a tremendous remake. This Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Thing. I also think the Hills Have Eyes films, all those I think are examples of remakes that were better than the original. And that doesn't mean I don't like the original. I do like the original. I just think this is just fantastic. Loaded release. Bunch of audio commentaries, which I haven't gone through those yet. Behind the scenes featurettes. Awesome release. Loved it. And then finally, Deadline. And Deadline is a film from 1980 that escaped my attention. I believe this was made for TV as well. It's an anti-horror film, and an interesting one as well. It's about a horror writer, and basically the tales that he's spinning kind of his real horror is in his relationships and his family around him. So it's very much a psychological study. It's a very, very good film. I'm surprised that this hasn't got as much airplay. I give it a 7 out of 10. Vinegar Syndrome did a great job with this release, definitely. There is a number of special features, audio commentary track. But yeah, Deadline is a very good film. Enjoyed it. Okay, I think that's going to do it. I don't have anything else. I've got a bunch of stuff on order, but that's going to do it for this update, and appreciate you watching.